Sorry about that. Ran out of memory on the phone. Hang on, let me adjust that. Sorry, ran out of memory where I was talking. Basically, the WWE pulled her match where she would have had a chance to do a match at Madison Square Garden. The fans went absolutely ape over this. This was, as far as they're concerned, this was disrespecting her. This was uncalled for. I mean, okay, she's not one of the best in the ring, but this was before the day she lost her father 20 years ago. And I'm with the fans. I'm absolutely with them on this one. The WWE did the dirty. Was totally uncalled for, but I think they're going to make up to it to her tonight. I hope. As I said, 20 years later, the WWE does this documentary. Now, it's also put out on their network, but they also put it out on YouTube. It's about half an hour long, and they talk about what's going on. And they talk to the stars who were involved in it. Vince said, we've got to do something. And Vince McMahon has done many decisions involving WWE that is questionable. It's him just doing what he likes. But on this one I don't think he could have done wrong. This was a decision no one can ever argue with about him doing it wrong. It was appointed. It was appropriate. It was needed. And it was the right one to do. "20 years later, my life's changed. The world has changed. But the world has never forgotten Flight 93, because they did a movie called United 93. They did a movie about the two last people to be pulled out alive from the World Trade Center. And the ongoing joke is that the person who Nicolas Cage played is actually better looking than he is when he did the movie, which I think was a very appropriate sense of humor, and truthfully, I think it was true, because he is better looking. But you want to know something? Was the right decision? "20 years later, there's still unanswered questions. The world has changed. I mean, the New York skyline was permanently changed. I'm one of the few people in the world who remembers the two towers and now the One World Trade Center. My niece has just turned 18. She was born 2 years after. She doesn't know New York other than the one you see in today's pictures. I got a niece, and then I've got two nephews who know nothing of 9/11 because it was born, I think, 15 to 10 years before. It happened 10 to 15 years with my youngest nephew for it to happen. It's terrifying. I have a former school friend. I bumped into her when I was coming home from the cinema one time. And I took her for a drink. I mean, I was 18 at the time. I mean, we were both over 20 and not for a drink. And she told me something. And it was scary. Because she was talking to her cousin who was in New York at the time visiting, being a tourist. And we were in the pub and we were drinking, and she started telling me the story. I hadn't ordered a drink and she just wanted to talk. And she told me that she was on the phone to him when the plane hit. And as soon as she said that, we drew attention to everyone who was in the bar at the time. And I said, do you want a drink? And she said, yeah. And I said, do you want a strong one? I mean, I'm paying for it. Do you want? And I said, yeah. She said, yes. And I went over and I ordered her a double whiskey because I figured she needed it. I reach for my wallet while it's being poured. I get it. And the bartender says, no, this one's on the house. And I went, yeah. And this was about 5 years afterwards. And I take the drink over, and she tells me, he said, and he says, there's another plane coming. It's heading right for us. And he said, tell my mum and dad I love her. Tell my family I will always look out over them, no matter where I am. And I love them. And he says her name, and I won't mention it in this video. I will not do that because I haven't seen her in decades, and I don't think it's appropriate that I mention her name. And he says, I love you, goodbye, and the phone went dead. She races home to find out what happened. She gets in, sees the news. Can you imagine? That's a devastating story. I mean, she talks about how she eventually contacted her aunt and uncle and how she explained that she had talked to them. And they go around she tells her mother, they go around, and her aunt on the phone trying to get through. No, not busy, She is frantic. And her dad says, you've picked a lousy time to visit. And she says, he was at the South Tower. He was at the South Tower. And my friend just said it quietly, and her aunt turns around and looks at her. Father, her uncle, closes his eyes. He staggers against the wall. He asked me to pass on a message. And as soon as they say that, the aunt collapses. Her mum goes over and helps her. And she tells him the message. And when she said that, people we've never met, people I don't even know, came over and says, that was probably one of the bravest things you could have done. And they're supporting her as much as I am. People we didn't even know. We just went into this nearest bar where we were, and this happened. My grandfather was a fireman during the Second World War. Now, his name was John Cox Sr., but everyone called him Jack. So when it comes to the fire service, I've got a bit of a soft spot. But I remember watching the news where emergency services in the UK were put on alert. And next thing you know, I'm watching this, and the emergency service, specially trained British firemen who specialize in search and rescues in earthquake areas in Europe, were getting all their equipment ready to roll out. They said they were going to get to the airport, a plane would be arranged to take them over to New York where they could use this equipment. They were ready to load up their equipment, ready to go out there. when the whole no-fly zone was put up around the United States, and they couldn't go. And when they were told that, you could see the heartbreak, the anguish in their faces, because they're brothers in arms. Okay, they're in another country, but they're still emergent. They're still firemen. They're still brothers. And they couldn't go there and help them. I have memory problems, part of my autistic stuff. But I remember this stuff because it is so powerful. It's got so much emotional connection that I remember it. There are some things I wish I could remember. And there are some things I wish I could forget. You know, embarrassing things I've done, all that. They come into my head late at night. But I pray to him upstairs, and whoever else is up there, and whoever's down there, you can have my soul if you want it. But I never forget this stuff. I never want to forget it because it's 9/11. Anyway, these two videos have been very emotional, and they've had to be. I'd like to add my voice to pass on the condolences to every family member of everyone who lost their lives on September the 9th, September the 11th, 2001. We can never truly understand your pain, but we can share it. Normally I would say please like, share, subscribe these videos. If you wish to leave a comment on what you remember in these two videos, please do. But I ask you to do it respectfully, because people in these videos, the people I'm talking about, deserve it. Thank you so much for listening to me in both videos. I apologize that it cut out, but as I've said in past videos, I record this on a mobile phone. It has a limited memory, so thank you so much. I bid you good night. And thank you so much to the people who sacrifice themselves day in and day out, who run towards the danger, not away from it. You have my respect, and I hope that never changes. Lest we forget why we've gone through this. We never go through it again. Because if we have to go through this again, I don't think another generation could go through this. I honestly don't. Thank you. Good night.